Hello learners, how are you all doing today? I hope you are doing good, and we thank God for giving us another opportunity to continue with our virtual learning. It's only the dead that cannot breathe, and so far as we have life and as living things, we need to breathe so that we can survive. So today we are continuing with our topic, respiratory system of humans. And today we are looking at breathing. We are looking at the aspect of the topic breathing. We also look at the processes or the stages involved in breathing. We also look at the summary of breathing movement. So we are expecting something at the end of today's lesson, and therefore I'll continue to urge you to stay focused so that at the end of the lesson we should be able to explain the term breathing and also respiration, which I know you already know the meaning of respiration. And two, we should be able to differentiate breathing in and breathing out. And last but not least, we should be able to explain some hazards associated with the respiratory system of humans. So to move on or to proceed with, what is breathing? Breathing is a process by which animals, in which human beings are also part or we belong to the kingdom Animalia. So breathing is a process by which animals take in oxygen or air into the lungs and give out carbon dioxide. Now we already know in our last meeting or our previous lesson, we talked about the types of breathing, the types of respiration, which is the aerobic respiration and the anaerobic respiration. So today we are continuing with breathing, which is a process by which animals take in oxygen into the lungs and give out carbon dioxide. Now breathing forms part of respiration. And respiration is also the intake of oxygen to break down food substances such as glucose to release out carbon dioxide, water, and also energy. So you can see that breathing forms part of respiration. And the process of breathing is an involuntary action. We have voluntary action and involuntary action. So involuntary action is something that we do automatically without thinking about it. We cannot control it. It just happens automatically without thinking about it. And that is what? An involuntary action. And therefore breathing, no matter what, once you are a living organism, you need to breathe, or you always breathe. And that action is what we call the involuntary action. Now let's look at the processes or the stages of breathing. Now we have two main stages of breathing. We have breathing in or inspiration or inhalation. We have breathing in, inspiration or inhalation. That is the first stage or the process involved in breathing. Then we also have the breathing out or expiration or exhalation. So as the term goes, breathing in, it means that taking in oxygen. And exhalation or breathing out is bringing out carbon dioxide. Now the air or the oxygen we inhale and the one that we exhale contains certain materials. And therefore, let's look at the composition of such materials. So we have the composition of inhaled and exhaled air. Now is the one that is taken into the body, whilst the exhaled is the one that is taken out, or the one that we bring out from the body. So you can see that we have carbon dioxide forming part of respiration or breathing. We also have oxygen, which form part of respiration or breathing. And we also have water vapor. Remember that the air that we take in, the environment or the atmosphere is made up of humidity, which is the amount of water moisture in the atmosphere or in the air. And therefore, the air we breathe contains some of this water vapor. So let's look at the percentage that is contained in the various substances that we inhaled or we exhaled. Now with the carbon dioxide, the inhaled amount is 0.03%, which is very small, or just a little amount of it, which is taken into the body. But the one that we bring out, or the one that we exhaled, is about 3.5%. So you can see that the air or the carbon dioxide that comes out from the body is more than the one that is taken into the body. Why? Because the one that is taken into the body is not needed much. The one that we bring out is waste, and therefore it must come out from the body so that the body can be safe. Now let's talk about the oxygen. The percentage of oxygen that is inhaled in the body or into the body is 20.9%, approximately 21% of oxygen is taken into the body or is inhaled into the body. And the one that is exhaled, or the oxygen that comes out, we have 16.9% of it, which mixes with the carbon dioxide that comes out. So here you can conclude that whilst breathing, you breathe in a little of carbon dioxide and much of the oxygen. But as you breathe out or you exhale, you also bring out some amount of carbon dioxide and also oxygen. Now talking about the water vapor, for exhaled air, or the air that we bring out, the air that is taken into the body has some amount of water vapor. And that one varies or it changes. So it's variable. Variable means it changes. We don't have the specific amount of water that is contained in the air that is inhaled. It's variable, that it can change, or it changes depending on the weather or that particular place. Now with the exhaled air, we have a saturated form of water vapor. And saturated means that it's full. It means that the water vapor that comes out from the air that we breathe out is saturated, or it has a full amount or completed amount that we normally exhaled from the body. And that is the saturated amount. I hope you are taking note of today's lesson. Now let's continue with the breathing movement. As you breathe in and out, the action involves a lot of procedures or activities. So over here, we have the breathing in and breathing out. Now, breathing in, we have the intercostal muscles, which contract or becomes narrows. That is very small, becomes small or smaller in sizes. So intercostal muscles contract or becomes narrow. But when you breathe out or when breathing out, you can see that the intercostal muscles relax. Now we have the second movement or activity that takes place when breathing. Now, when breathing in, the ribs, I hope you know what the ribs are and their functions. The ribs protect the inner organs of the system. They are very hard, like they are bones, which are very hard, and therefore they give protection to the inner part of the organs, like the heart, the liver, the kidney, and the lungs, and the rest. That is the ribs. So when breathing in, ribs move up and out. It moves up and out. That is how breathing in occurs, depending on the ribs. Now over here, the breathing out, ribs move down and in. So you can see that whilst breathing in, ribs move up and out. With the breathing out, the ribs move down and in, down and in. So that's the difference. Now let's look at the third point here. Volume of the chest, that is the size of the chest cavity, increases when breathing in. The chest cavity increases when breathing in. But with the breathing out, the volume or the size of the chest cavity decreases, that it becomes smaller. Now let's look at the air that is involved. With the air, for breathing in, air moves into the lungs. But with the breathing out, air moves out of the lungs. And let's look at the other point here, which is the lungs. The same thing that occurs or that happens to the lungs. You know, when breathing in, lungs inflate. That is, it becomes very large or big because air enters the lungs to, like balloon. If you inflate the balloon or tie, you see that it becomes or it increases in size. So the same thing when when you are breathing in, the lungs inflate, and when breathing out, the lungs deflate. That is, becomes flat because air comes out and becomes flat. So that is the nature of the lungs when breathing out. Now the diaphragm contracts and flattens when breathing in, and with the breathing out, the diaphragm relaxes and becomes dome shaped, like a boat turned upside down. That shape is what we call the dome shaped. That is when breathing out, the diaphragm becomes like that shape, like a bowl which is turned upside down. And this is the summary of breathing movements in living organisms such as human beings or animals. So this is where time will permit us to end our lesson for today. I hope you've been able to put something in your head or put something in your notebooks. We're able to explain the term breathing and respiration, the stages in breathing, or the processes in breathing. Now, God willing, when we meet next time, we are going to talk about the hazards associated with the respiratory system. So this is where we will end our lesson. Thank you and bye-bye for now.